Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I have a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
And today we are talking about whatever we want to talk about. There's nothing super specific on the docket today.
It's been a while since we've done one of these kind of just general check-in, news, etc. types of episodes. It's been good. And we should start it off well. Donovan, what have you been watching or playing lately?
Well, I have like 3 mini reviews for like movies / TV shows that are like take me literally 20 seconds total.
Dude, let's rapid fire them. Do it.
Yeah, so real quick, Space Jam: A New Legacy. Fun for kids, but doesn't touch the original. Bam. Old with by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. Worst thing about this movie is that it continued beyond the first 5 minutes. And it's
zing.
It's actually based like on a graphic novel. And it's got some interesting ideas, but man, it's just like yeah. But then like thing that I'm really excited about, well, 2 things. Masters of the Universe Revelations. It's awesome. Kevin Smith, he's the showrunner on it. It's the best thing he's probably ever made. Like the score, the acting, the animation, it's all incredible. There are some people online who are just destroying it because of a few reasons, which they need to be patient because they should know what's coming if they watch the show, but it's incredible. Part 1 just dropped and part 2 will drop hopefully pretty soon.
Now, part 1, is that like multiple episodes?
It's like 5 episodes and part 2 is 5 episodes. But
is this on Netflix?
Yeah, and it's they're like 20 minutes a piece, 25 minutes a piece, but they're just rad. Like Mark Hamill does the voice of Skeletor, and then Kevin Conroy, he does like the voice of Merman. And,
so are these is this kind of geared more towards adults? An adult version, like violence wise or content wise?
Yeah. People die. Like there's stakes involved.
I love it when people die. That's like one of my favorite things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like that was kind of the mandate. Is like one of the people who got Kevin Smith to work on it was like, hey, I want to make the show that I thought I was watching when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Like He-Man could never stab anybody in the original Motu.
Right.
Like, but now he can stab people. So like, and it's awesome.
Sounds like I need to watch this because
it's cool.
I was not necessarily like I would like watch He-Man when it came on, like on like the like kind of the reruns of like Saturday morning cartoons. Yeah. My grandparents when they had cable and we didn't, and it was always just like, even now looking back on it, it always kind of felt a little schlocky, I guess, maybe a little like just kind of like they were kind of trying to keep it very light, especially in terms of like Skeletor and his whole shtick. But I'm definitely into checking out a more adult, kind of mature version of it. Especially, I feel like we're kind of living in a renaissance of adult animation where we're just getting over and over again, like really high quality storytelling and animated, but for adults. Right. And I think that's awesome. So I'm happy to add this to the list of shows to catch up on.
Yeah, and you can watch the whole thing in like, literally, 2 hours.
Oh, short episodes, like 30 minute episodes.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's fun. I mean, it's I don't know, it's just really cool. And again, there's stakes involved, but it's it's like it's got that kind of like, it's fantasy, of course, sci-fi, but it's got that cheesy, like, I say cheesy, I don't want to like take it away. It's very I don't know. It's just good, and it's the stuff I like about it. But they don't like. It's not super hammy. It's like this is the right amount for this kind of material.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to check that out.
Yeah, for sure. And then the one thing I watched last night, I rewatched, was G.I. Joe Retaliation, and
was that the second one?
Yeah, dude, it's so good, man. It's like it's upsetting that it's like people don't talk about how good it is, and it's just very frustrating. But It came out on 4K Blu-ray again last week.
Sounds like you need to make a video about it and really get those feelings out.
I'm this close.
Just like why are people sleeping on this, or why are you all idiots for not giving this an Oscar?
I'm hoping that Katie and Noah will want to watch it again tonight. Because we're going to go see Snake Eyes this weekend, so I'll have an update on that next week.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
So, but no, what are you watching? What have you been playing?
Watching wise, I feel like I've just been I haven't found my next like show. Like I finished Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Okay, so I told you that I told you about this a little while ago. Excuse me, words hard. I watched Stargate.
Yeah.
The old why can't I think of their names? Help me with the stars.
Kurt Russell, James Spader.
Yes, Kurt Russell, James Spader. Great. I mean, honestly, a pretty enjoyable little sci-fi, just kind of adventure, kind of like almost like. Yeah, it's this strange thing. I mean, like, there's a lot of this like kind of traditional action adventure tropes that you would almost find in like Indiana Jones. But
it's kind of this kind of like slower pace to it too, though.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie does.
Is there a second movie?
Well, there is TV movies though, but
the first episode of the series is basically a TV movie. That's a sequel, or a sequel setup. There is some things, and I think we mentioned this, the anti-LGBT undertones, which are probably more accurately described as overtones in that film, are just almost like comical in their overt nature now, where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe they were this kind of straightforward with their feelings about the gay aliens taking over and like destroying the heterosexual relationships, and like even like his freaking love interest is killed by one of them, or almost killed. She gets revived or whatever. It was a lot. That part was a lot. A lot. But overall, still a pretty an enjoyable movie. I mean, it didn't blow me away. It's not the best sci-fi or adventure film I've seen, but it was like a fun. And especially I can see at the time kind of, new concept, kind of fresh. And then I started the show. The first episode, like the movie, it's like it was a two-parter, I think. And, it's like an hour and a half, and it's like the setup and basically a direct sequel to the movie. And it's pretty good. The first one's like, even if you're just a fan of the first movie, the second kind of that first two episodes is a nice little sequel to it. It definitely is setting up a much larger thing. But I mean, there's a couple weird things they directly recast James Spader and Kurt Russell with just different people, which I guess in nowadays, I don't see that happening. Nowadays, I think if you get a spin-off TV show, like for instance, like What We Do in the Shadows, which I've been rewatching, which is hilarious. It's like they're going to make new characters, right? They're not going to bring the characters from the movie and recast them, because they're going to be like, okay, let's just make a new set of characters in the same universe and make them interesting too. And it's just interesting to think back in like mid 90s and how TV was working back then in conjunction with movies. And they're like, well, we've got to bring the same characters over because that's what people know from the movie, right? We just got to recast them, which not bad recastings all in all. Not bad.
Yeah.
But then,
it's
no,
hard.
I mean, it's not, it doesn't touch Kurt Russell and James Spader. I mean, like, but the people they got do a really good job of emulating their acting from the movie.
Oh,
you know
really?
what I'm saying? Like they like, if you squinted your eyes and made it kind of blurry, you could be like, yeah, maybe it's the same guy. And more so, I would say more so with the James Spader character, because the guy they got for the Kurt Russell, you just can't replace that jaw. That jawline is just literally irreplaceable.
I've only seen a few scenes of it, but I do know this, and you may have looked into it, but I've followed him for a while, just the Stargate stuff in general, just on and off. But he's talked about recently basically remaking their first Stargate movie, like as another movie, and like actually remaking his own property kind of thing. He's talked about that multiple times in the last year.
Okay. Like I said, so I watched the first episode of this TV series, the two-parter, and it was pretty decent. Like it definitely was not the quality of the movie, especially in terms of just effects and production quality, but the storytelling and the acting, like it felt in the same world. The episode after that, it kind of stopped me in my tracks. So they kind of go into this format of like going to a different world through the Stargate of the week kind of thing. Like with Star Trek, it's the different alien of the week or planet of the week. And this is like, oh, we're going to this place this time.
Sure.
And it's like the first one that's like, oh my God, it's this world where women are treated as objects. That's the world. That's the world they visit. And you're just like, whoa, they were not into nuanced ideas at this point in the show or something.
Was it a normal Earth? Like just that?
It was, yeah, it looked like freaking Earth with tribally looking people on it.
Oh,
and then,
okay.
And then
I thought
it was
you
just
meant it was like modern day Earth.
No. It's just like they travel to a different planet in the star system or wherever. And they're like, oh yeah. And then like, they've got this, there's also just some cheesy dialogue. Like the Kurt Russell character, they introduced this new like girl scientist who's obviously going to be like one of the main like love interests of multiple, I'm sure. And he's like, oh, I don't trust scientists. And she's like, well, I'm like a freaking Navy SEAL too, or some bullshit. And he's like, still don't trust science. It's just like, there's just some things that come up. You're like, this feels really 90s in the ways of just like, I don't know. I mean, I say that at the same time Star Trek was on at this time and doing much more interesting and nuanced ideas in terms of like moral and just even just like, oh my God, a world where women are just purely treated as objects. And that's literally the only way they're viewed. It's a little bit just like, wow, this was kind of like they just ran with the first idea that came with them and they didn't workshop it too much and go much deeper. Right. You know what I mean? So I fell off pretty hard after that. I even looked up. I was like,
oh, you didn't watch any more, huh?
I did one of those classic searches like, when does Stargate get good? Because I was just like, this is wasting my time.
And see, it just wasn't told you that before. It wasn't you even the show. The
concept was just bad, but the dialogue was just because like they're like, oh, you treat women as objects. Like it's just like it's like baby's first encounter with anything morally of a quant. You know what I mean? It's just like we've dealt with these like in like Rugrats episodes probably in more nuanced ways. And so yeah, I fell off pretty hard. And so I've been trying to look for more shows, but I've honestly been playing a game recently. In fact, it's the inspiration for my backdrop. I bought this game a long time ago, physically on sale, and I touched it, but I never got into it. Dark Souls 3. And one of the reasons I picked it up is because it just got recently the FPS boost on Xbox. Mm-hmm. So it now runs at 60, or the faux 60, or however Xbox does that with their black magic fuckery. And it's great. I mean, I don't know if you've ever played the Souls games, but they're really addicting, I think, once you get into it, of just trying to level up your character, getting your ass handed to you by these like, frustrating, combat people all the time, and then finally mastering it and like fucking them up and feeling like the most badass ever. It's a really great loop, in my opinion, and it's got these great interconnected levels. It's very like Metroid like, in that like, you unlock shortcuts, and then like you start on one side of the map, and by the time you're done, you basically make a loop, and now like everything's connected, and you can get to all these places, and you've got to go get an item over here, or go fight an optional boss over there. It's just like all these really fun interconnected maze like levels that you eventually learn. And like, you're like, there is no map in the game. You just know it from playing it over and over and dying over and over. Yeah, man, it's been nice to find a game that I'm kind of hooked on, because I feel like I've kind of missed that for a little bit, where like, I bounce around to my normal things, play some Rocket League, play some FIFA. Sometimes I dip into like, the Bethesda games still every now and then. But to find a game where I'm like, man, I'm looking in my schedule, like, when's the next hour, I can carve out to play some Dark Souls, and it's a lot of fun. So having a blast with that game.
I watched my brother play Demon Souls a little bit last week on the PS5. Just because I wanted to see the graphics and the frame rate and stuff, and it looks really pretty game. They're just not my kind of thing, and just I I'm not a huge fan of just that genre in general, and it's just not my thing.
No, and I wasn't for a long time. Honestly, the first one I played, well, it was Dark Souls 1. I got the remastered edition. I haven't actually beat that yet. But yeah, I mean, it's I would definitely say it's a type of game that I think you have to adjust to, even if you think you like it. I think it's something that just it's got a learning curve, and it's kind of and there's this weird, and I'm sure people know the kind of cringy get good segment of gamers out there that like be like, well, if you didn't beat Dark Souls and Bloodborne, blah 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 blah, you're not a real, it's just all that stupid bullshit. Right. The thing is, these games are actually really easy to cheese, and like you can just grind your character up on enemies and just keep leveling up until you can just kind of cruise through like a bunch as well if you want to do that. So yeah, they're fun games. I'm having a blast. So yeah, Dark Souls 3 good. I know that's about 7 years too late, but you heard it here.
One thing I will be playing today, I think PlayStation Summer Sale started today, I believe. One of its mini summer sales. And I've been really itching to show Noah the Jack series, Jack and Daxter.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can buy all 4 in the it's the PS3 collection, I believe, PS3 collection, but for PS4, because I don't have a PS5 yet. It's like $20 for all 4 games. And the 3 games plus the, that's literally like 50 to 100 hours of gameplay. And or I say 50 to 100. But anyway, I'm excited to maybe dive into that this weekend. Before we start talking about our news, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Kapow Comics, located on 4047 East Kill Avenue in Sherwood, Arkansas. They have comic books, collectibles, graphic novels, and special guest appearances throughout the year. So if you can, go check those guys out, and they would love to have your business. So let's talk about some news things. I think the biggest thing that's kind of happened, even in the last 24 hours, and you probably know what I'm going to say, is we have our favorite Black Widow character, Scarlett Johansson. She is suing Disney over the streaming service release. Her contract basically saying that she was potentially, from all of the things I understand, potentially going to make upwards to $50+ million. And as of right now, with even Disney's response, she's made $20 million and has fulfilled her contract. And we've even had people like Emma Stone apparently reportedly also potentially thinking about suing Disney now that Scarlett Johansson has come out.
Because of Cinderella?
Cruella,
whatever.
Yeah. So, and I think Cruella did pretty well in both situations also. But I think if you remember correctly, it was like 80 million opening weekend for Black Widow and then 60 million also for Disney Plus, which they normally don't share those numbers, but they did this time. And as of right now, I think it's made close to like 300 million worldwide, which is, very low. It's like bottom tier, like Captain America, the First Avenger made 300 and something million when it first came out in 2010.
Which surely no one can be
or 11. By. No, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's just the nature of the business with the pandemic. And I mean, it's hitting right around the time the Delta variant is coming back or it's being pronounced, that kind of stuff. So it makes total sense. But I mean, what are your thoughts? Some people are saying that she has no claims, and others are saying that, Disney owes her money.
My thought is that this is all a bit of a show, in my opinion. And it's a bit of a show, in my opinion, for what will happen the next time that there's a SAG-AFTRA contract negotiations with like the studios. Because I think, to me, for one, Scarlett Johansson does not need an extra 50 million. I mean, and I don't believe she's the kind of person that's like, give me my money now. I mean, maybe she is. Maybe I'm totally misreading this. But to me, this feels like we're still so much into uncharted territories of this, especially legally, contractually, with this day and date releasing in theater and on streaming services. And I think the laws and the contracts and all these kinds of things that were made, maybe 5+ years ago, and this wasn't even close to reality or a reality anyone could have predicted. They're kind of behind the new world that we're in right now. And I do think that Disney, as a capitalistic company that really would, especially in like a legalese way, is going to squeeze every penny out of anything they can. I do think there is a chance they're potentially just trying to kind of brute force their way through some of these issues to where they maybe don't have to renegotiate some of these ideas later, or maybe it's just the negotiating thing, whatever. To me, this feels like more of a line in the sand in terms of an industry. Like, we have to figure out something different with these contracts if we're doing it differently like this. Because I don't think Scarlett, she already made how many millions of dollars has she made on all these Avengers films? She's not hurting for money. And honestly, Disney giving her another $50 million would be a drop in the bucket. That's not, they don't give a fuck about $50 million when it comes to these kind of things, probably at the end of the day. But I do think this sets precedent. And just like you said, the fact that Cruella, I can't think of the actress's name. It's blanking. Emma Stone. The fact that she's now considering suing, I think, is just another, to me, that lends to that idea of this is more, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is more like agents or maybe even people at SAG being like, listen, you need to sue. Because if we don't, and it's almost like that copyright thing of like, if you don't defend your copyright, you don't have a right to it, almost kind of thing, right? If you don't defend your trademark, you kind of forfeit the rights to it. And to me, it almost feels like, well, if you don't defend the original idea of this contract, they're just going to steamroll us on this in the future. This is going to be like, no, sorry, fuck it. This is how it works now. But I think if you have some people like Emma Stone, like ScarJo, that have these big names, they're fan favorite. Well, at least ScarJo with MCU is a big, people like her, and no one wants this messy, ugly. Oh my God, there's this ugly breakup at the end of the relationship with her and Disney or MCU and stuff. I don't know. That's just my impression. This is based on literally no industry insider information or even like rumors or anything. It's just kind of me just generally reading what seems to be like, it's a lot of hubbub and it's a lot of like, oh my gosh, wow. And I see people kind of like making shock faces to it. I don't know. To me, it doesn't feel that surprising.
Yeah.
It feels like we were bound to get to this head and, we're going to have to figure out new contracts and all these kinds of things for the future.
I think you're right. I don't think it's as surprising or even shocking as a lot of these outlets are making it.
Yeah. Agreed.
I will say that
I don't think it's as dramatic because I think they're trying to make it like this cat fight thing of like, oh, they're slinging mud.
I think it's more business than anything, than personal.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if ScarJo and Kevin Feige are like laughing their asses off at all these articles, like on the phone with each other. Like, how can you believe these fucks?
Sure. I'll say a couple things. I think that from what I understand, and again, this is from multiple different outlets, and we don't really know what's going on. This could have been happening 2-3 months ago, and we're just now getting the aftershocks of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it seems like, from what we understand, that Scarlett Johansson was kind of worried before Endgame that potentially they would release this movie on Disney Plus to attract more subscribers, and then during the pandemic and everything, there was fear that they would release it day in, day out or whatever, and that they had promised her through her contract they would have a theatrical release only. And of course, that's because she makes obviously more money. If it makes $1 billion, she gets stipends and bonuses and that kind of stuff, blah blah blah. And I guess that part of it was they decided to release the movie now, and instead of waiting another year when the theaters or whatever. And I'm kind of like, on that one, I'm like, well, I'm not sure. That's a hard situation for any company to like, when do they release this thing? Because how do you gauge, like, also you do have a universe to run and all these other things. It is kind of weird.
And that does seem like a weird kind of catch-22 of like,
it's a hard one.
Because I think ScarJo probably had some legitimate concerns thinking of like, well, this is a prequel movie coming out after the big finale, less interest by default. Just because of that.
Yeah.
And I remember talking with you guys at the beginning. I was like, man, they just need to release Black Widow on Disney Plus because it's not that big of a headline movie anyway. And even after watching it, to me, I'm like, that movie I probably could have watched that on Disney Plus and enjoyed it just as much. as I did at the theater. I don't, and I think
I fully believe that the movie would have made a close to, if not $1 billion, if we had released when it was supposed to with no pandemic. Yes. I do fully believe that.
I do think, though, if they had waited another year and released it only in theaters, it would have made less than it made now, maybe. Because it's like, I mean, another year, we're already past the Eternals. We're past Doctor Who, or Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We're past Spider-Man 3. We're past Thor 11. We're like in the weeds of the next phase. No one, I mean, I personally would probably not be the first one to line up for a Black Widow movie that takes place, like 10 in-universe years before this happens, if you include like the in-game time jump. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like that's just burying it into further irrelevance to me.
I do think that, you know, on the flip side, of course, you know, if there was a breach of contract, and of course they should absolutely try to make amends if they didn't try or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like example, HBO Max, they just kind of pulled the rug out from underneath everybody to release all their this year's movies day in, day out. And they're going to a 45-day model starting next year. And they paid upwards to, I think, collectively $200 million additional dollars to all the directors, actors for all these projects, which doesn't sound very much to me, considering
that's all. I mean, ScarJo wanted a fourth of that.
I know this is for this is for like Dune, The Matrix, Space Jam. You know what I'm saying? Like tons of these bigger, like Suicide Squad, all these bigger movies.
Wait, but anyway, Suicide Squad day and day?
Yeah, next Friday. Yep.
That's cool. That means I can like watch it the next day at home after watching it in the theater.
Which is exactly what I will be doing.
Yes. No, I mean, I can't wait for that movie.
I'll probably watch it, and then I'll watch it probably 2-3 more times over the weekend.
It keeps getting such good reviews. I just read IGN's this morning, and it's like they said it's the best DCU film ever, in their opinion, like live action.
Best DCEU film ever, yeah. Yes, and they that's important to say.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It is part of my news thing. My apologies. Is that it's as of right now, it's got 78 reviews and it's got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty good.
I mean, it basically said that like this is like literally James Gunn, like everything that James Gunn has ever done in his career coming to like a perfect culmination. Like his gore and his bloody stuff, like all of that's very I can't wait.
It's trauma years. Yeah, this is very much.
I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very excited about it, and I'm sure I would be surprised if we didn't have an episode about this. Next week. We got a review episode solely for this movie, which actually brings me to this, and this is the main reason why I wanted to bring up Suicide Squad was, will you please watch the other Suicide Squad movies so we can talk about it?
Yes,
no, I will. I don't even care about talking about. I don't care about talking about it on the channel, other than maybe like a 10-second thing. But sure. I want us to talk about it.
So yeah, no, like, I'll watch it. I mean, I should probably watch it first, so that like my expectations are exceeded afterwards, not like 100% disappointed afterwards.
Yeah, because if you watch the other one at first, then you're going to be fucked. Like even more.
You'll be like,
fucked.
Oh my god, this is trash.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely on that one. I do want to talk a little bit about. We have Hawkeye premiering on November 24th.
Yeah,
which is pretty soon. It's like 6 episodes. So I think the last episode does come out like the last week of December.
Do we have a release date for Far From Home or No Way Home?
It's November or it's December 25th.
It's like 3 weeks in between. Like it's pretty wild if you just look at like this. Like it's like you could plan Disney's releases based on a marketing calendar. It's like Hawkeye ends 3 weeks of like balls to the wall marketing for Far From Home or No Way Home release. And then that's going to have its run. And then whatever the next TV show, they probably have like a week or two break where again, they just go balls to the wall with marketing the next show. And then it starts like, it's like a machine. It really is. It's kind of wild.
No, we got a lot of Marvel coming and there was of course the 9 unannounced TV shows in the works, which to me, I was like, that's the dumbest headline ever. Cause there's infinite amount of Disney TV shows.
Over the next 100 years, there will be 400 Marvel. I mean, like you could just make up numbers and they're probably accurate.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like to me, I was like, that doesn't matter.
I guess it means that like they had like literally 9 in active production
Sure.
or development.
Yeah, it still applies to me a little bit though. Like that's still, it's like whatever. But I mean, we're right around the corner from What If, and then Shang-Chi is a month away.
Oh yeah,
And,
did you see a new official poster got released today?
Yeah, it did. Shang-Chi. It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm down for it. I mean, Hawkeye. One thing I think I have been saying on the podcast is that Kate Bishop character, she is the daughter of Hawkeye. I don't think she's the daughter of Hawkeye. I think I was just totally wrong or just saying that incorrectly. But she's just some like Hawkeye fanboy apparently.
Oh.
And
it's not his daughter from the movies.
Yeah. I knew Haley Steinfeld is,
even though he was like helping her shoot a bow, like in Endgame. Like then when she disappears, he was like training her. That would seem like the natural way to go with that. Yeah,
no, even right here on her Wikipedia page, it's like she's the youngest daughter of a rich Manhattan family. So
that seems like they're gonna draw some sort of connection there somewhere.
Yeah, I was totally wrong on that one. Huh. One little small baby thing. J.K. Simmons, who was Commissioner Gordon on the Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, they're apparently in negotiations to come back and play Batgirl or play Jim Gordon in the Batgirl HBO Max movie that comes out next year.
Who's Batgirl? Do we?
Her name is Leslie Grace. She was in Into the Heights that just came out recently. Yeah, I don't know who she is either. But it's the same directors as the guys who did Bad Boys for Life. So they're
you liked?
I did like it.
Okay,
it's not as good as 1 or 2, but it's still a good fun movie. It's actually the highest grossing movie of last year because of the pandemic. Yep.
The records that will come from these years are going to be weird.
They are. They're going to be super weird. Okay. So let's kind of dive in a little bit into some game stuff. And this is kind of old news. I just kind of want to pick your brain, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, but what do you think about the Steam Deck?
Love the Steam Deck. I think it would, that's what I want. And honestly, it's like if there was a Switch Pro and a Steam Deck I guess we can touch on the Switch OLED, which is a hilarious little micro jump up in their offering. It's almost like that almost felt like a troll from Nintendo when they announced that, of just like, oh yeah, here's your Switch Pro, bitches. Here's your little OLED screen, and nothing else is better about it.
I saw the guys on Kind of Funny, particularly Blessing. It was almost like in denial, like, no, what's coming out next year then, the 4K version.
Well, I've heard some people that are like, well, listen, like, I've still heard from people I know that there will be a Switch Pro or there will be a 4K Switch. And now they're saying, well, who knows? Maybe that'll be the Switch 2 at this point. Maybe they're just going to go, fuck the Pro. We're going to call it the 2 and iterate.
Do you think as early as next year, though, like next fall? With this new OLED announcement? You think?
No, I don't think the new OLED announcement really changes anything. If you look at Nintendo's track record with their 3DS and 2DS incrementation and how long they wait between releasing a small increment and then just bringing out a brand new system a year later, they do that all the time. Like I think from like the DSi to the 3DS, was the DSi the first one with the dual screen?
It was
the Nintendo DS. There's the Nintendo DS, and then there's the Nintendo 3DS. And I think the DSi was like this weird incremental one in between, but it was like literally only like a year before the 3DS came out.
And there's the Nintendo 2DS.
And then there was even like the 3DS. They had like a new 3DS at like a year after the 3DS that was even better. And so that's just Nintendo. I mean, and the thing is, they can't keep them on the shelves, and they're not wrong. If you can just come out with different versions of your product, people are going to buy it. And if someone's saying, well, I don't have a Switch, am I going to spend $300 or $350 and get a better screen? They're probably going to spend $350 and get a better screen, which, costs Nintendo like $10 more in development. You know what I mean? So it's like, it makes sense from just a pure business standpoint. It is just it's kind of funny how small of an increment upgrade it is. I do think we will get either a true Pro Switch, 4K Switch, something, or just a Switch 2 in the next couple of years. I still think there's a chance that could release alongside Breath of the Wild 2, which we know we will hear more about next year. And I think the big rumor is it will come out next year. I don't think that's confirmed, but back to Steam Deck, excuse me. I think the Steam Deck is great, and I like it because it's another portable library of games that honestly makes the Nintendo Switch's library of games look, cute in comparison to the library of games on Steam. I mean, I think we may have mentioned this, but like this almost replaces the Vita as well, right? Like you can play the PlayStation games they are bringing to PC will be playable on this in handheld mode on the go. And you can play Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War 2018 on a small screen. Now, I mean, that's not the ideal way to play it, but you can do it. I think it's great. I think ergonomically it looks a little weird. I don't like all the buttons and the sticks like at the very top of it. That just looks weird to me. Maybe it's comfortable. I don't know. I don't know if I'll buy it, but that's more so because I think whatever the Steam Deck 2 is or the Steam Deck Pro is, that's where things could really start getting interesting. And I think, once we have like a 1080 screen instead of a 720 or 720 screen on there, once we have just some other like better battery power, better whatever it is, I just think I'm honestly more excited with Valve iterating on the Steam Deck than I am about Nintendo iterating on the Switch, just because Nintendo's Nintendo and they do weird shit all the time just because they can and do. And Valve's more of a kind of traditional, hey, we're just going to make a better product every time we make it kind of thing. So I think we're going to get to more exciting places with the Steam Deck faster than we are with the Switch.
Yeah, Nintendo is going to Nintendo. That's the ultimate phrase for Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly.
I did pre-order the Steam Deck. It was a measly $5 to get a place in line. I'm not sure I'll keep it though for those same reasons that
Is it refundable $5? Because if not, they're making millions.
Yeah, they might be
millions off people that will just cancel.
Probably, and I probably will cancel.
Pretty ingenious.
Yeah, because I for those same reasons, like I think I always get on the hype of things. I haven't played my Xbox in months, and my Series X, and
to be fair, not a lot of games have been coming out, so
there's not.
But Halo, technical beta going on right now. All signs point to Halo coming out this year. I mean, I at this point I would be pretty surprised if it didn't. So at least there will be something coming.
I'm hoping it does come out. But I think you're right. I think the Steam Deck 2, Deck 3, those are where it gets interesting because technology will be such a huge jump by then where we can have a 4K screen portable, and it can really handle these more technical things going on. But part of it is like even in this room, I could have that Steam Deck in here and I can maybe play computer games on here. But the thing for me though, I'm like, well, there's no computer games I'm really interested in playing. Like I want to play
that of. I mean, I think
that I know of. You're right.
The Steam library is so huge, and honestly, like I know I have found that there have been times that I have put hundreds of or dozens of more hours into at least from the appearances, more simplified like game. Like there's a game called FTL, Faster Than Light, that's like this pixel art style roguelike where you are a spaceship trying to make it to the final battle and destroy like the mothership to defeat the rebels or whatever. It's very basic sci-fi. They're not trying to be innovative. It's just it's more like a kind of a setup for the world and the gameplay. But man, that game, I mean, a run takes 30 minutes to an hour, and then there's different random events and stuff like that. But it's not like, I mean, you eventually start seeing the same events, right? Like it's not like infinite. But man, it's so fun. And like I've honestly had more like genuine like Star Trek style role play feeling moments from that game than I have from really any other like sci-fi games. And like this is just a tiny ass like 20 megabyte game. And it's like games like that. And I think the other thing is that there's just so many of them that are still being discovered or being made by these one-man teams, whether it's your Stardew Valleys or FTL or Factorio is a big one. People like Terraria is a big one. People like Darkest Dungeon is very good. Like I've learned about myself that I can have giant experiences with small games. And the Steam library, there's nothing that matches its breadth of games to play like that. And so I would say I hear you. I mean, like, you're not going to find Uncharted or Uncharted likes for that kind of thing, or like, that kind of PlayStation exclusive or even Xbox exclusive type of thing. But for those other areas that, at least I know in my experience, I haven't paid attention close to, you might be surprised. You might find some gems. I mean, honestly, I found some of my favorite games on those level of games. You know what I mean? Like, I'll probably play FTL for forever just to pop back in and play. I love it. So I would say I hear you, but don't count your chickens before they don't hatch. You know what I mean?
Two things. One, I'm a basic bitch, and I only come out of the woodwork to play games for like the Uncharted, for the God of Wars, for the Gears 5s.
You're like the Chad gamer. You're like you're like just the. I mean, you probably should only drink Mountain Dew and eat Doritos.
Yeah,
while you play games.
That's all I. That's all I do when I play games.
And then tell other kids you're gonna fuck their moms. Yes.
Well, not that part, but
okay.
But no, I only come out if it's like a AAA plus game. That's the only time I come out of the woodwork. But the one thing that kind of really interested me actually was the fact that if Sony does do more games to Steam or to PC, whatever, that was interesting because like I could have Uncharted 4 on my portable.
Okay, but if you're going to spend $400 on the Steam Deck, why not save $100 extra and get the PS5?
Don't tell me what I should do with my money. I'm telling you what interests me about the Steam Deck. I'm telling you because you know why I can't take Uncharted 4 on the road with me if I want to play Uncharted 4. That's why.
Is Uncharted 4? You just really want to play it on the go?
I don't know. I'm just saying I like options.
Okay. I get you.
Yeah, I'm just saying
I'm at the
that's
point
what's exciting about it for people who don't have PlayStations.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, even thinking about it now, I would probably buy a PS5 before I bought the Steam Deck, just because.
I will, but yeah,
and like I hope to in the next, by mid cycle of this console generation, hope to get a PS5 for one, just so I can catch up on a lot of the PS4 back catalog.
Dude,
honestly, availability and budget wise, you know what I mean? I got to wait a few years before finding spending $500 on another console.
Sure.
But yeah, so like if I'm here, I'm like, well, if I want to play PlayStation games, I'm going to get the PS5 so I can play Miles Morales and Demon Souls and whatever else will come out in the future. You know what I mean? Like, and so I can play them like when they're out. I don't want to wait a year and a half or 2 years to be on the hype train because I really enjoy being a part of that zeitgeisty discussion stuff, So yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, even you're making me think. I'm like, I would love to get a Steam Deck, but it's probably like third or fourth priority in terms of like big buys for me in video games, or at least second.
No, same here. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, how can our listeners write into us?
Listeners, you can write into us at bit.ly/241mail. There, let us know what you thought of the Steam Deck. Are we crazy? Is it cool? Is it stupid? Let us know. Let us know. Yeah, well, and let us know if Donovan, recommend him maybe some indie hidden gems that you think he would like. He loves Uncharted games and he loves dumb movies. So just inserting those two factors into your head, algorithm it out, and figure it out and let us know. Send him some suggestions. That is bit.ly/241mail.
See, that was much better. And if you can't hit up our Bitly, of course, you can always comment in the comment section below. That's assuming you're on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/241studios, the best place to consume the content. We highly recommend going there, and please leave a subscribe and a like. It will do us wonders. Daniel, it was nice talking to you about just random stuff that we almost pretty much already talked about before the podcast.
Yeah. No, it's great because we were just able to rabbit hole for a whole episode without it actually being off task.
Yeah, true.
Because usually we have a topic and then we rabbit hole and we're like, oh shit, we should get back to the topic. But we didn't have to do that. We just rabbit holed for fun.
But I am looking forward to next week more so than usual because the Suicide Squad is something I am really excited about. And we have Bruce Hutchinson back to break down Raising Arizona, a Coen's brother film starring Nicolas Cage. And I've never seen it, and it's kind of an oddball thing.
No, I haven't either.
Do.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of Nicolas Cage, another film, Pig, which is kind of the hot grassroots film of the moment.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage kind of becoming. I mean, it's kind of this weird trajectory where he was like, he started out in like Raising Arizona, and these other films were like, oh man, this guy's. I mean, he won an Oscar for Raising Arizona, didn't he? Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And then he kind of became a meme, like in the National Treasure era of his movies. He just kind of became this meme of an actor. And now it's like everyone's like, oh yeah, that meme, but wait, he's actually pretty damn good in these roles. You know, he's like doing all these B-level horror films that are like really fun, like, you know, horror romps or like slasher romps. And it's like, man, all the power to him, man. I think it's great. He seems to like be happy and doing roles that he enjoys.
He's been earning his money, as they say. Another thing that's out that I didn't know, Pig's out, which I do really want to see. The Green Knight is out now, which I really want to see. Yeah. And the third thing is Val, which is a documentary on Val Kilmer. It's playing at our theaters right now, actually at the Rave. And I was like, what? It's out. So
that does. Like I saw the trailer for that, and it looks pretty fucking good.
God,
it's so done by him, right?
Yeah, well, I think he's producing it or something, but
he narrates it. I think
it's somebody else's voice. I don't think he's actually narrating it, but because he can't, you know. But
true.
But I love Val Kilmer. Like I like his roles. He's Batman Forever, Top Gun. You know, all these other like Tombstone, all these great movies, and
Tombstone's a classic.
Yeah, he seems like he has a really interesting perspective on life. And I really want to see the movie. I think it comes on Amazon Prime in the next 4 to 6 months if you can't catch it. Anyway, Daniel, it was a pleasure talking to you. I will be talking to you very soon on some other exciting topics that we like to cover here on Podcast 2 for 1. And my name is Donovan Thompson.
I am Daniel Wingfield.
And we have spoken.